We've got Jason in Utah. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Josie, and Mark.
Hello?
Hi, Jason. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. I've listened to your show a few times, but I cannot just understand why you believe that everything that government does is inherently wrong and bad for this country.
Oh, I don't think I've ever said that. I mean, I support having roads, and I support having fire protection, and
Yeah,
I support
but the monopoly on evil that you're talking about, what is that?
Well,
monopoly on
monopoly on
evil.
evil?
Well, I don't know what that means either. I didn't say that either.
Monopoly. The government has a monopoly, claims for itself a monopoly privilege on the use of violence in a given landmass. You'd agree with that statement, right?
Never. No.
You do not claim that the government claims a monopoly privilege on the use of violence in the United States?
Well, it's a use of initiatory force, not necessarily violence, right? Because you could use violence in defense of yourself, and that would be
but the
legitimate.
government could decide at any point that violence that you used was acceptable or unacceptable. No one gets to decide whether or not the government.
We have laws that protect ourselves, though.
Whose laws protect you?
Yes.
From what?
That is what the Constitution was not written against us. It was written for us to protect us from the government.
How's that working out?
Oh, okay, you're able to speak freely right now, your opinion against the
Absolutely.
Constitution.
I will not dispute with you that in the United States of America, both you and I have the right to complain. Now, how has the Constitution, how else has it protected your freedoms? You're currently slipping down the chart of freest countries on the earth. How's that feel?
Yes, but we can, and that is no way, that shows the freedom that we have to change our government, the ability to move it in the way that we believe. Right now, it's moving in a way that is wrong, yes, but that does not make the Constitution inherently bad.
Oh, I didn't claim the Constitution's inherently bad. I would say that skin cancer is better than lymph node cancer, right? But I wouldn't, the Constitution claims for itself. The claim is that it is a document that claims for itself power over other people, right? It wasn't signed by you or I.
No, but us being born into the nation, we have the rights and privileges associated with it, and that should be considered a blessing to us.
Do you know that every single one of the Bill of Rights has been compromised? That the Supreme Court considers your rights to be attenuable?
Does the Supreme Court overrun its rights? Yes, but with us in the power,
who is
we
us?
have the chance to change that.
Us in the power.
Us as American citizens. Us as American citizens.
If you could get the other
right.
American citizens to do what you want, that might be true. However, many of them are looking for what they can get out of the government, right?
Yes, that is completely true.
Okay,
and I
so
agree
you
with
say the government's corrupt, the government's messed up, but somehow we're wrong.
No, you're wrong because you're claiming that the way is to overbound the government. What we need to do is motivate the people together to change the government.
What is overbound? Just real quick, can you explain what you mean when you said we? Again, you keep putting words in our mouths, and I don't think they're very accurate. You said something about overbound the government. What do you mean by that?
Okay, you believe that the Supreme Court oversteps its bounds, correct?
I think sounds about right.
Okay, this is a better example. The Silk Road person that you defend all the time. You believe that he was wrongly imprisoned, correct?
Well, he's not exactly imprisoned. He's waiting trial, and consider that, in this country, many times when you're arrested, you never get an opportunity to get out on bond, even though you have not yet been convicted and made guilty by a jury of your peers.
Okay. More than one person involved with this, allegedly involved with the Silk Road. Ross Ulbricht, his website, freeross.org. Andrew Michael Jones, his website, drewsdefense.org. And then there's a couple of other guys, Gary, I forget his last name, and then another fourth gentleman who's, I apologize, I don't know his name. But there were 4 people arrested, and they're all facing life in prison. None of them have harmed anyone else. What was the point you were making about the Silk Road?
Okay, for those people, they broke a law, correct? You don't believe so.
You don't know if they broke a law.
They're
in
accused.
This country, you're innocent until proven guilty,
They're
right?
accused of conspiracy, which is not actually a crime.
They were arrested for believing they broke a law.
Oh,
what?
Now you believe that whenever the cops arrest somebody, they're guilty. You, my friend, are a crappy American.
Oh, my gosh. You're the one complaining about the Pledge of Allegiance in this great country that you live in with the freedom to say your rights.
You think the police are right when every single time they arrest someone, you don't believe that somebody's innocent. That's what you said. You said they were guilty because they were arrested.
I never said they were guilty. I said the cops arrested them because they believe they committed a crime. That is what I said.
Okay.
All right. So they believe it.
Thanks for clarifying that. Go on.
Okay. Because they believe it, and you believe that it was wrong. So you want to overbound the government saying you can't do that because I don't believe that should be against the law. That's what you're claiming in that situation.
Well, here's what I would claim in that situation. The Constitution required an amendment to make alcohol illegal, but somehow the federal government found it within their power to make other substances illegal without an amendment to the Constitution. So therefore, what I would claim at that point is somewhere along the line, there was a real problem with how these things were made illegal in the first place. I see nothing in the document known as the Constitution of the United States of America that gives the U.S. Congress the right to make any substance illegal. Are you a strict... what's that, sir?
No, go on. No, go on.
They don't have the power. They've overstepped their power. Any police officer that enforces that power, in my opinion, is guilty of treason. Every politician that was responsible for passing any laws like that is guilty of treason. These people should get the commensurate punishments under the document that they're sworn to protect.
But these laws were passed. We gave Congress the right to pass laws.
Yes, but we gave the Congress.
I've never given anyone anything.
First, before you go, look, read the Constitution, specifically the 10th Amendment. Then call back because no, we didn't give them the right to pass those laws.
I don't know about you, but I wasn't even around.
That's what they're there for.
Thanks for the call, Jason.
No, it isn't. Read the document.
Thanks for the call. I didn't give anybody any power. I wasn't around, nor would I have consented.
The document doesn't give them the power.
More coming up. Free Talk Live. So we're going to continue here with your calls in a moment, but I felt like the last guy's call deserved a little bit more attention. He was calling to express concern for the claim right out of the gate was that, that we hate everything that the government does. And that's not true. I don't feel that way at all. I think there are some things that they do that would absolutely be in demand in the absence of their coercive monopoly. Now, I think that roads, certainly the government's not so great at making roads, but every now and then they can repave a road and it'll be nice for a short while until the weather up here in New England, the frost heaves will really F things up.
We don't know how good the government's roads are because we don't get to compare them very often.
True.
To
There's
private
no competition.
to private market roads. There is some competition. There's lots of private roads in Southern California specifically.
What about Disney World?
Disney World, full of private roads, but
private like not residencies, but like neighborhoods, for instance, also frequently have private roads.
But it's hard to find the innovation because there's not real competition.
Well, most of the market is sucked up by government building projects.
Indeed. And whether you like the roads or not, you have to pay for them. So, for instance, I live in a town, the town I live in, I live on a state road. Well, the state roads pay for by gas taxes. The town roads are paid for by property taxes. Mm-hmm. I almost never use the town roads unless I am going to town hall or the fire station for town business or fire business. I am a volunteer firefighter. Mm-hmm. So why then should I pay for the town's roads?
What do you think, Josie? Are there some things that the government does today besides roads and maybe fire protection that might actually be valuable in the absence of a coercive monopoly?
I think there are a lot of services that would be valuable, but I think, again, I get so frustrated because I think they would be done so much better in a free market. So
schools, for instance?
Schools, I can't. The thought of the way schools are today makes me sick. So I can't even think schools aren't even a positive thing to me now.
Did you go to government school?
I did. Well, no, I went to private school, but it's Catholic school, so it's pretty
Almost
impressive.
The same.
In and of itself. But I see the schools today. I don't see them as a positive thing now. I see homeschooling and a lot of the alternative schooling as much better options. And in the schools, the kids are really not even allowed to be creative. They're not allowed to be themselves. They're restricted. They're kept inside. They're fed crappy food. It's not the way children should be treated. It's not in any way nurturing their growth. And so, yeah, I think everything would be done better without, I can say comfortably everything would be done better without government.
it doesn't mean that that I don't like the people involved either, right? Like there's individuals who work for the government who I find very likable here in Keene, New Hampshire, where we live. This is a small place, unlike large cities.
My wife used to work for the state of Florida.
Yeah, you're from Philadelphia. That's a tough place to get connected with the government workers because there's probably thousands upon thousands of them.
Yeah, I've never had a good experience with any of them.
But here in Keene, these are the same people you're going to see over and over and over again, and it's easy to create a human sort of relationship with these people, even while at the same time they're using coercive threats against you. So it's kind of a bizarre dual world, and it can be very strange.
Well, you notice how the caller did not want to say that the government has a monopoly privilege on the use of violence in a given landmass. And the fact that they give license to you to defend yourself doesn't really have anything to do with that, because they'll decide afterwards whether you defended yourself properly, whether you did it within the bounds of the law or outside of the bounds of the law. If they decide you may not defend yourself with a law's rocket, you may not. If they decide you may not defend yourself with a revolver, you may not. If they decide you may not defend yourself without retreating to the farthest corner of your house, you may not. Like, that's because they have a monopoly privilege on the use of violence, not initiatory force. Every time violence is employed, they decide.
You've persuaded me.
They decide whether a spit in the face is assault. They decide whether a water balloon is a deadly missile. They decide everything. And if you think for a moment that you're free in this area, to consider that you're not.
Well, we even have audio of Barack Obama admitting that the government's a monopoly on violence. I don't have it with me right now, but we've had that audio. It's not hard to find that audio.
Yeah, I can pull it right up on the internet. All you have to do is, look up on YouTube, Barack Obama, government, nation-state, monopoly, privilege, and the use of violence or something.
Yeah, so I don't hate the people involved in the state. I just think they're wrong, and what they're doing is immoral. And I get in trouble when I point that out. We were talking last night, and I didn't get a chance to play the audio from it, about the video of the parking enforcement agent where I was sort of dogging her, following her. She kept turning around, doing 180-degree pivots and walking in a straight line back and forth for multiple minutes. She did it 18 times in a 2-minute time frame, and I found that funny and found it ridiculous, and I thought other people would as well, so I put it out there. But I get hate over that because it seems like I'm being mean to this woman, that, oh, well, I'm the one who's the problem, whereas people don't see her as the problem. Now, some people do. Plenty of people know that parking enforcers are not nice people in a lot of cases, and what they're doing is not nice when they put tickets on people's cars. Those are threats. If you don't respond to the threat, your car will eventually be taken from you.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. But some people, don't care about
whether you
that.
think the government has the right to ticket a car on their street or not, that's really beyond that. That's beside the point. You won't claim that they don't do something different. I mean, private companies don't do this.
No, I mean, in Philadelphia, it's even worse. They won't even, sometimes they won't even ticket your car. They'll just tow it. It's a very serious problem in Philadelphia.
Guys will?
Yeah, they hire private companies to do it, but they're employed by the government. I mean, it's so bad that the show Parking Wars started in Philadelphia. I mean, it's really excessive. It's Keene. It's not okay. It's not as bad. It's a $5 ticket, and they just throw it on your car.
But they'll add up, and then they'll take your car.
Exactly,
eventually.
and it's ridiculous. Just because it's not as offensive immediately doesn't mean it's not as bad.
Well, but when you explain to people, and if you go to the Free Keene Facebook page. There was a post there, a couple posts where people were going off, or actually, no, it might have been Robin Hood of Keene. I apologize. The Robin Hood of Keene Facebook page. I've been going back and forth with a couple of local haters over the past 2 days, and people they're not even close to the paradigm that we would like them to be. And again, some people are, some people aren't. Everybody's on their own path. But when I explain that the parking enforcement ultimately is a threat of violence, it's extortion based on the threat of stealing people's cars, they just deny it. I mean, and they just act as though that's okay and completely acceptable. Like they might acknowledge that goes on, but that it's completely acceptable because, hey, you parked in the space, buddy. It doesn't matter. The idea that the space is illegitimately held, that it was garnered through threat of violence,
right.
through the violence of the state, doesn't matter. None of that speaks to them because they truly believe in the system. I mean, one of these guys, when you click on his Facebook profile, he's got a picture of a U.S. flag as his cover photo.
Shocker.
So there's just some people who are not good prospects for the ideas of freedom, at least not in this time in their life. And in point of fact, they're not going to move in any direction towards you. They're going to move away from you because they see you as a threat to everything they've always known. You're a threat to the system.
And it's very frustrating to me because they'll wave that flag and cry freedom, but then won't let us fight back to be free in our own way. If they want to have a gun held to their head over a $5 parking ticket, they can.
Well, Josie, they've said we're free in Keene.
I know. I've seen what they said, but the thing is, I'm not as free as I'd like to be here. You're not as free as you'd like to be here. None of us are. So why don't you let us fight and you stay in your cocoon, be happy. If you want to live that way, that's fine. But let us fight and stop this hate.
Well, they'll never just stop. They're going to always, right to the very bitter end, there will be people who are on the side of the state.
Absolutely.
That's how it's always going to be.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.